Welcome everybody. Today we're going to make a Google Nest radio of this Sultan Blaupunkt radio. And the first thing we need to do is find out which components we need to use. So we need for this video a few screwdrivers, a pair of tweezers and a cutting tool. And we need a towel to protect our radio. So we see this radio has an indication eye, and I would say it's an oval indication eye. And now I will show you the other side. This is the back side of the radio, and I can already see from this picture that I have one scale lamp or one dial lamp and a indication eye. The type is EM80. So that's the first thing I've noticed. Now I will go to remove the rear of the speaker. As you can see, there are two screws here on the back, and I'll remove them with a screwdriver. This is the first one. Now you can see here the rear plate is removed, and you can see the different tubes. I can see the loudspeaker. See here that there is still a mains connector, and the first thing I have to do is cut that off, because we don't use this. This is only for safety. So, and I can see that there is no easy way to get to the dial lights and to the tube. So the first thing I have to do is remove the chassis. And the chassis here is the metal part. It's connected to the housing by 4 screws. But before I can undo those screws, I have to disconnect the loudspeaker. To disconnect the loudspeaker, I will just cut the wires of the loudspeaker from the radio chassis, like this. And I also have to remove this connector for the antenna. And I can see here below there is a connection for this surface hatch, and I also will cut that. So it seems to be free from the rear now, and at the front I've seen that everything from the dial and the knobs comes out with the chassis. So the only thing I have to do now is remove the 4 bolts on the bottom side of the radio, and that's when I need to use the towel to make sure that the radio is not damaged. As you can see there, these are the 1, 2, 3, 4 screws I mentioned before. So I can remove the chassis. like this. Okay, you can see here in the middle here is the dial light, and I can just remove it here and I can change the light. You can see it's already oxidated very much. It's not a good light anymore. And I can also see here the indicator tube. You can see it here. I have to unscrew a little screw there so I can pick it out. This is the indicator tube. So, and also the dial light is modified. We will see that later. Okay, now we place the converter tube back on its position, and you can see that there is black tape around it, just to make sure that there's no light coming in from the dial. So put it in here. It's a little bit fiddling around. You can see some fiddling around. It's back in its original position, and here there are the wires that will go to the conversion kit. Okay, so we've got the light assembly here, the LED assembly with its connector here, and we've got a little converter here. And now we're first going to remove the lamp. So we screw out the lamp. Okay, and we have our light LED here, and we'll just curve it here like this. We bend it like this, and we plug it in to this tool, and then you can just click it in here. So you can see we have our LED here, and we just put back the light. The problem with the LED is that it will shine only to the front, so we can try to bend it somewhere that it's not. So maybe like this. We will see what this will bring to us. Okay, so this is the only work that needs to be done on this chassis. The next step is soldering the connector to the loudspeaker. Okay, the next step is connecting the loudspeaker wire from the loudspeaker assembly cable to the loudspeaker here. We need a soldering iron, and that will connect the loudspeaker. It's a very simple trick. You can also remove this wire to the chassis. We don't need it, so I will remove it. As you can see, I've removed the wire to the chassis, and I've soldered the connector to the loudspeaker. Now we are now ready to reassemble the chassis into the radio. As you can see, I reassembled the chassis into the radio, and I have 3 wires coming out of here. This one is for the loudspeaker, this one is for the dial lightning, and this one here is for the indicator light. The next step is to mount the Google Mini Nest Revision 2, and we have to do that on the back side of the radio. You can see here, this is the back of the radio, and you can see here in the rear of the radio there is enough space to put the Google there. The only thing I have to do is drill some holes here. And for this drilling you need your form from your kit, and on the back of it there is a template here, and it says exactly where to drill holes and also the diameter. Okay, I've got my template here placed on the rear of the radio, and I will just add some markers here. Whoa, that's a problem. Okay, and then when I've added these markers, I will drill the holes. Okay, I will start with the small holes. They are quite important to have the right location. And after that, I will drill the 12mm holes. I will put this, okay. And I do the rest on the back. See, that's right, the other one is a little more tricky. I will make it a slightly different position here. This is okay. Okay, and we have to clean the holes a little bit. But you can see I've cleaned the holes a little bit. It's okay like this. Okay, assembling the Google Nest to the rear of the radio. As you can see, we already made some holes here. And we've got a prepared Google Nest with the PCB already on it. And if the holes are correct, it will fit something like this. Okay, now the second step is we have to also make the box at the rear of the radio for connecting the power supply. And we have this box support, and we put in the wires through this big hole here, and we will it will just fit in here and just tighten up this nut. Okay, so this piece, in the end it will have a cap like this on the rear, but first we have to assemble the Google Nest. So we put through the wires here through the big hole in between the two small holes like this, and we will plug in this connector here for the mains, and this one here is free, and we turn it like this, and we put the holes in front of that one, and we put this inside. This is on, and then we put in 2 screws. That's also in your kit, and you will screw it reasonably tight. It's all plastic, so don't use too much force. I have to be sure this one is correct, yeah. So, this is tight, this one is tight, so like this. And now we have to connect this connector that has no marker on it to this connector here. It's the power supply. Okay. So this is the loudspeaker, and we can close the box like this. And this is how it will actually look. This is ready. I've got 3 connectors here, and I can now connect this to our Google Nest. Okay, now we are ready to connect the Google Nest to the radio. I've got here my loudspeaker cable. This is important because if you connect a power supply to the loudspeaker, it will actually destroy your loudspeaker. And this is from the eye, and this is from the dial. And the dial must be placed in here, and the activate the eye must be put in here. And you can see here, well, it's all finished now, and I will put back this in the back of the radio. Okay, now we are ready to test it. Okay, the radio is, and the Google Nest is put on, and you can see the indicator LED is on. So, and also the dial is on. It takes a while to start up. Okay. Hey Google, what's the time?
Het is 2:13 's middags.
You can see it's in Dutch, but it will work very nicely, and you'll see the LEDs work fine. The dial LEDs will be on for 10 minutes after the last command. Hey Google, play Radio 1 for me.
Ik stream BBC Radio 1 op BBC.
Broken the glass now on the Christmas tracks. The sleigh list is on. So, would you like? I can offer you Band-Aid 30 featuring.
Okay, thank you all for listening to this, to looking at this video, and I will see you next time.